I can't believe I'm uttering these words, but it appears that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is headed towards a revival. News broke about a week ago that Sarah Michelle Gellar and other people part of the new Buffy team have been greenlit for a pilot on Hulu, and I'll be honest, I am just floored that this is even a thing. I know a few years ago, well, I guess more than a few years ago now, like let's say back in like 2017, 18, somewhere in there, they tried to get a Buffy reboot done on the CW where no one would have been involved in it. I think Whedon may have been involved in it in some sort, maybe just would have produced or whatever, but none of the cast or anything like that would have been involved in it. It would have been a real reboot. But here in 2025, it appears that it's going to happen. I mean, even Sarah Michelle Gellar is on board. She's given it her approval and things are going forward. Now, saying that, what does that all mean? So I have no more information than you may have. I've read the articles and I have my speculation. So first off, it is not officially official yet that it's coming to series. First off, they have to film the pilot, and if the higher-ups like the pilot and it tests well, then Hulu will call it to series then. And then Buffy will officially be back then as a revival series. Now, for all intents and purposes, if it does get picked up at Hulu, I believe this will be a new season of Buffy. It is a true revival. I don't think it's going to be a reboot, reimagining, anything like that. It's going to have the title of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It will be a season 8. Now, the biggest caveat I have read, if the show does come to series, is that yes, Buffy will be a main character within the show, but she will be in more of a mentor role, more of a Giles role. The show will be focused around a new Slayer of some sort. Now, this is where we get into the territory, because it could be done well, it could also be done bad, mainly due to the fact that anyone that tunes into the show, they want to see Buffy. They want to see all the characters that people love within the Buffy universe. And it would take some very special writing, very charismatic actors to be able to put them up against the cast we know and love. So the writers and all of that have a big task ahead of them. Now, speaking of the writers, it seems to be a duo-ship between two sisters that are the main writers for the show. Nora Zuckerman and Lila Zuckerman are the main writers and showrunners for the Buffy revival series. And apparently they're going to only have one director, and that's Chloe Zhao. And she's a pretty well-known director, but at the same time, she also directed The Eternals, which meh. So not really my taste, but who's to say she doesn't do a great job with Buffy. I think it's safe to assume that the Buffy revival would only be 8 to 10 episodes. You're not getting the full 22 to 24 episode onslaught here, which is very unfortunate, but that's just where TV is nowadays. And probably to no one's shock, Joss Whedon is not involved with this at all. And at this point, we all know he's a polarizing figure, but it is kind of unfortunate that he's not involved in this at all because, well, he wrote the series, he created the series. A lot of the things people love about Buffy is due to Joss Whedon. Not saying he's a great guy or anything, but his personality and his writing style is what made Buffy Buffy. So again, it's not a shock that he won't be involved, but it will be weird not having his voice in the room. Now, if this show does get greenlit for a full season, I would imagine we won't see anything about it until probably 2026, because let's say they film the pilot in the next few months. It'll probably take another couple months to see if they want to actually pick up the show, and then they'll probably would start filming, I would guess, let's say in the tail end of 2025, maybe rolling into the beginning of 2026. Then I would guess in the fall of 2026 is when you could see Buffy the Vampire Slayer revival season 8, whatever they're going to call it. Another thing we got to tackle is the cast. How much of the cast is coming back? How much of the cast is not coming back? We don't know. Everyone is just speculating at this point. No one has a real direct answer, but I'll give my predictions and guesses here as of right now. Now, I personally think most of the cast will return in some capacity, even if it's just a cameo or a single episode or two. Now, I don't know what they'll do with like Xander, because Nicholas Brendan has had a lot of legal issues, and I don't know what they want to do with that and how he is right now. He also has some like substance problems, so I don't know what they'll do with Xander. But everyone else, I would imagine, will make a return in some form or another. Yes, even the vampires. I do think Spike will return, and even Angel, even just as a cameo of some sort. And before anyone says, well, they're too old to be immortal vampires, honestly, who cares? Truly, who cares? This is no different than Brent Spiner playing Data when he was too old to play Data. Yeah, he changes a little bit, but you still want Brent Spiner playing Data in Star Trek. Same thing for Spike and Angel. I want David Boreanaz playing Angel. I want James Marsters to play Spike. I don't care if they look a little bit older. Put them in some low lighting, put their black leather jackets back on, put a little makeup on them. They'll look great. Because I know personally, I would be very disappointed if there's a full Buffy revival and Spike and Angel don't even show up at all. They have to come back in some capacity. Now, the characters that they could bring back that will be kind of interesting how they touch on it would be if they bring back Anya, because she clearly died in the finale, and Cordelia, who clearly died in Angel. So I don't know if you can maybe get some like alternate universe versions of those characters, or they can bring them back to life, or they just are dead. I have no idea what they're going to do. And then that kind of leads into the story itself. Why is Buffy being revived? Is it just to kind of bring back the Monster of the Week type stuff, where Buffy's just literally training a new Slayer, which could work, but obviously it can't take place at Sunnydale because, well, the whole place sunk underground and kind of blew up in a way. So where would it take place? Would there be a big bad? And that is why Buffy has to train this new Slayer and brings the Scooby Gang back. I don't know. I don't know if they kind of want a big bad story or just kind of Monster of the Week stuff. You can go in many different directions. There's a lot of ways you can kind of spin it. I'm just purely fascinated that Buffy's coming back, and I honestly can't believe it. Another thing too that they'd have to kind of tie up or explain in some way is at the end of Buffy, the original run of the show, I could say now, all of the Slayers are activated if I remember correctly. So why is Buffy taking an interest in one in particular? Is it maybe her daughter? Question mark. The original show leaves you with like, yeah, there's, hundreds, if not thousands of Slayers out there. Why Buffy is no longer important, as much as I hate to say that because, well, she's Buffy. But at the same time, why is she taking a particular interest in one Slayer? Where is she? What does her life look like at this point? I don't know. As I keep saying, there's just not enough information out there. We just don't know. I just don't know. But regardless, it is very exciting that Buffy is more than likely going to make a return. And I just hope they do it right. There's been so many things brought back over the last, let's say, decade, and most of them have not been done well. And I just hope Buffy doesn't fall into that category, because Buffy is such a great show and so many people love it. I just hope they don't ruin it or leave a bad taste in fans' mouths. Crossing my fingers and hoping that the Buffy revival leans more towards like the X-Files revival, which I personally enjoyed. Whereas on the flip side, like Star Trek Picard, the first 2 seasons of that show, I loathed. I did not like them at all. Where like season 3, yeah, that was awesome. Now if Buffy can't harness like season 3 of Picard, now we're cooking with some peanut oil. Like we got some real momentum going. That would be a blast to see. But I digress. I don't know what we're gonna see. I'm just crossing my fingers hoping we get a fun, good story that still feels like Buffy and gives a real reason why it is returning. So with that said, let me know your thoughts on Buffy potentially being revived, more than likely being revived here in 2025 going forward. Let me know down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time guys, have a great day. Thanks for watching.